Hello, y'all. Grown black folks talk. Grown conversation about how not to collect Kanye West's L. Now, basically, this rolls out to you how not to collect collective L's. Again, I'm not going to pick on Mr. West. He has his own struggles. He picked a fight that was a little bit too big for him to win. But what amazes me is how many people, as I study what happened, particularly between Kanye West and Adidas, that whole contract, because in my other life I do a little bit around intellectual property. It amazes me how much people seem to be struggling to reinterpret this somehow as a win, in spite of all the legal and social evidence to the contrary. No performer ever, for a long time, has picked a fight with those who run Hollywood and the performing arts in general in this country and has ever won that fight. That's an instant L. But all these people are out there in the comments online trying to put two L's next to each other. And we're going to pretend that this is a W. No, it's not. It's not a W, y'all. This one. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not two mirror images and we done tilted it this way. No, sir, no, ma'am. It's not. That's just a loss. But I wanted to get in with us. How do we keep from having to be in the position of having to reinterpret this to make it a win? Is it, people are behaving as if their life depends on reinterpreting this into a win, as if it is their loss. We need to talk about why we have this feeling around the collective loss. This comes from the 1864 playbook. L is for Lee, y'all. This one. He lost the war in 1865. So the whole playbook that was used by slave owners to keep their codependent relationship with black slaves going ended officially in 1865. So the whole idea that black people are to be controlled as a collective is something that we also need to put down. You have, in those days, a network of plantations and plantation owners who have all agreed together, but they lost, which allowed us to be free and to begin our lives as individuals in America, moving toward the full recognition of our freedom. The work is not done, but there's some things we need to do. I understand that we want to think of ourselves as a collective. Do you know how many African American people are in this collective? And how ridiculous it is for us to keep taking on every L by some performer, not a leader, a performer. You know how ridiculous this is? We are between 1/6 and 1/7 of the entire United States population, approximately 50 million souls. As I said, how many, your heroes putting money in your bank account in previous video. Kanye West having messed things up with the Anti-Defamation League and Adidas. Did that actually take any money out of your pocket? Is caping for him putting money in your pocket? I just need to know. If not, you can let him hold that L. It's okay. It has nothing to do with you unless you are still of the mind that you have to live through every other prominent black person who's put up in front of you. This is a very old idea. White slave owners had their favorite slave preachers for this reason. Some of this still goes on to this day. It's still Sunday when I'm recording this, although you'll see this on Monday. We have still being conditioned to have people put up in front of us. And then when they get too big for their britches and get, then we take that as a loss to ourselves. Let me come at this from two different directions. I'm old enough to have grown up watching The Cosby Show. My family enjoyed it. So, was it easy for me to realize that Heathcliff Huxtable and Bill Cosby were two very different people with two very different moralities? It was heartbreaking. But I'm grown. I know the difference between a performance and a person. And although I enjoy the performance, I can't back the person. Period. So when R. Kelly came along with his foolishness, I wasn't on that music train. But, some songs that he did were nice. I was never on that music train, but even if I had been, nope. Because the performance doesn't cover for the person. So here we come with I miss Kanye West as a phenomenon also. Doesn't matter. I'm not living vicariously. So all these men get to hold their L's alone. Now, let me go to another side of this. I'm a Black woman who's a content creator. I use in my, not the previous video, but the one before, I use myself as the harshest example I can imagine. And the way you need to be ruthless about the content creators that you listen to. Content creation is a performance as well. I am an actual performance artist, a good one. I work in the community. I don't have that much music out there because I chose not to go into the industry because I was not going to be bothered. But I'm a performing artist, a good one. So I know how to craft how I come here. I choose not to come here loud and out of pocket and grasping your emotions in that way, but I could. I can take a song that you think is as old as dirt and can sing it in such a way that I can get you engaged. I know how to do that. I also realize, being a performance artist, that there are reasons that people are attracted to different performers and their performances. So I made an example out of myself as a content creator, how you have to be ruthless. If you don't believe in the message and you feel that it's not true, you should leave it alone. I use myself and the always offensive message of Christianity as an example, as opposed to attacking any other content creator, because I realize people come to the performances and the performers that they come to for a need in themselves. One thing about the Lord Jesus Christ that I make note of, there are two things the Lord Jesus Christ never ever did when he met average people in their situations. The Bible is very clear. He that believes not is condemned already. The Bible is also clear. The Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost. So he didn't have to tell people how lost they were. That was already established. They knew it. He knew it. Jesus never came empty handed either. He always had the power to do what he said he could do. Now, I'm a mere mortal. So if I convince you not to listen to your favorite content creator, and I don't have anything to put in its place except for me, I may not meet your need, which is why I use myself as the example. Because people come to the people that they come to for reasons within themselves. I don't understand, nor is it possible for me to completely understand, why Black men are so drawn to the manosphere. I have read and I have listened to enough to have some idea, but it would be hubris for me as a woman to completely understand. I can call the stupidity of it what it is, but beyond that, these are human beings seeking to have their needs met, real legitimate needs. But see, here's the thing. Again, we see in the manosphere and also BWE. Some people are choosing to live vicariously. The contradictions and the foolishness have been pointed out. But people are going to hang on to their favorite because they're living through this person. So then when the fall happens, because this is what also happens. I don't care how big and bold you think you are. I don't care how young or how old. Death's going to slap you down. Reality with a capital R is coming. But what we have a tendency to do with Black men is we feed them to the grave and we feed them to the criminal justice system, or they run head on with the Jewish people that are not going to have it. There's some things you just cannot do. That's one of them. As I said, the Anti-Defamation League's viewpoint appears to be at this time, if you don't have anything complimentary to say about the Jewish people, you better keep your mouth shut. That seems to be their position right now. You're not going to win that fight in the United States of America. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But we keep blowing people up because we're living vicariously through them, because we are not confronting the things that we need to confront and the weaknesses in ourselves. And we are not doing the hard work to build ourselves up. We just gonna try to live through someone else. So when inevitably when they get that L, then we feel like we have to carry it. And this is how we out here and everybody and every other racial group is out here laughing at us as we try to keep on turning these L's into a W. That's not a W. That's a mirror image of an L, y'all. That is not a W. That's a mirror image of an L. L7. Well, I gotta go this way. L7, if you will. That's all that is. But we keep trying to collect it as a collective, which is why way back when in the early codependent relationship called slavery, as much as masters wanted their slaves to depend on them, they were also completely dependent on their slaves, which is why it was worth doing the Civil War over it. Because they knew they and their way of life and their pretense to be gods on earth would not survive us going out free. But the power imbalance was way over. So they knew that if they could intimidate Black people by cruelly mistreating, lynching, sodomizing, raping, and murdering, that they would be able to intimidate the collective. So when we feed people, we blow the heads up and blow the bank accounts up of people like Kanye West. All we are doing in supporting them, or R. Kelly in the middle of the end, is just putting them right up against where they're going to hit something that they cannot overcome, and then their L becomes our L, and we talk about the system and all the rest. No, because we wanted to live vicariously, help Robert Kelly and Kanye West and Bill Cosby to get to the positions that they did so they could fall. So how do you stop collecting the collective L? Stop living vicariously and start living. I have Kanye West is a father with children, like my father is a father with children. Kanye West is a heartbroken son who is struggling from the loss of his mother and is struggling from the loss of his marriage. It's something that I think we as women overlook. And it's partially because men puff up and play with ego wise, but men grieve the loss of their relationships too. But they puff up and play and they take it out on the next, and we just don't have the luxury to have that much sympathy. But it is a thing. There's a tremendous amount of hurt in the manosphere because of hurt that did not heal sometimes as far back as high school. And as easy as it is to say, hey, get over it, a lot of people don't always have the resource to get over it. And if they have the resources, they're not willing to do work. It's always going to be somebody brought along to let you live that vicariously instead of doing the work. And this is why there are so many Black men in particular who are out here trying to convince themselves and not doing a terribly good job convincing anybody who knows about the law that this is not what it is. Not convincing anybody that knows about history, not convincing anybody that knows about power and demographics that this is not an L for Kanye West. Why? Not because that puts money, because they grew up listening to his songs and they believed he was a genius and they lived vicariously through him being a Negro in Paris with Jay-Z and all the rest of it, doing things that they didn't feel they could build themselves up to do, starting from where they come from. And when in his fall, they see themselves. And then you have a certain number of Black women talking about the system's always trying to bring a Black man down. You do not have to pick up other people's L's. Stop living vicariously and start living. I have compassion on folks that I see out there making a terrible time for themselves. I do. It's not something that I look at and just like, ha ha, that's what he get because he got on with a white girl, as he once said. That's a human being. But my fellow human beings, you do not need to live vicariously through me, which is why I don't, I'm not up here flexing. There's a lot of things I can talk about that I'm doing. There's a lot of things I will be doing. That there's no need for me to do that because you're not going to live vicariously through me. I want you to live. And I am not going to live vicariously through you. This is why I'm not doing stuff to blow up the channel because I feel like I need to have a certain number of people up in here. Nope. 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 730 is fine. And whoever else finds the message of value. No, I'm not going to do all this and all that and all that. No, I'm not. because I don't have to live as a performer. There's more to me than that. There's more to life. I told a black man that I know today, I respect you because you're real. There was a whole situation that went on, and he just said, hey, you know the reason I'm reacting the way I am? Because I'm scared. Because the last time this happened, we got left out in the cold, and I can't let that happen to my people. And when this happened and this happened, that scared me. And I need to have assurances that we're not going to go through this again, or this is not going to work for this future working relationship. Change the whole conversation, change the game. His willingness to step into his full humanity. Now, before some of you who listen to this talk about he a punk, no, the man runs $120 million worth of stuff. I don't think so. He's mature. He has stepped into his full humanity and is able to be real. And this is what we need to do as opposed to idolizing. I have a certain level of empathy for those members of, I remember this in May and June and July after Mr. Samuels passed away. I have a certain amount of empathy because people were acting like their whole world disappeared. But you read those comments about Kevin Samuels, and so many of these men were like, he was the father I never had. Do you know how incredibly sad that is? I have comments sometimes, people tell me, you're like the auntie I wish I had and all the rest. And I look at that and I think to myself, I have to do things a certain way, but what I can't do is teach you to look. We talked about this in the bank account, heroes filling your bank account. I can't have you looking at me as source. Once you've grown, you got to learn how to do things for yourself. And again, your life becomes a journey between you and the world beyond this world. Your life becomes a journey made up of your decisions in and around the world, this world, and the world beyond this world that's very personal to you. And whoever you choose to worship, that's up to you. Even if that's nobody, that transaction in life is up to you. It's not up to all these performers. And so, but I understand how it is that this happens. And this is how we end up caping and going so hard for people that don't even know we're alive. Because we have conflated our identity in a codependent, slavish way. Yes, I said slavish. Because Kanye West resources aren't coming back in your direction. Are they? Have I missed something? Is he paying some of y'all that are caping really hard for him right now? They're not coming back in your direction. So, in a codependent, slavish way, the story goes the slaves used to tell their masters, we sick when he was sick, because they were trying to avoid being hurt and damaged by this man who was not in a good mood and could order them killed at any time. So, what did the slaves learn how to do? They learned how to adopt his opinion on everything in order to keep themselves alive. And that's understandable human behavior for that time period when you have been so brutalized and terrorized. Kanye ain't done nothing like that to us. How have we gotten so beat down that a rapper takes an L and a whole bunch of other people act like they're gonna die? How have we gotten to this position? How have we gotten to the position that a man who was a style expert could have created all the trouble that he did? Mr. Samuels, good style expert. I've watched some of his early content. Y'all don't know. I do my research. How the hell did we get to this point that this man is allowed to transform himself into this? How have we gotten so weak? There may not, I mean, there is an answer to that. There are many answers to it. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to stay there. You do not have to live vicariously. You need to take the steps that would involve you living. Now, I, as a Christian, am going to tell you come to Christ and deal with your sin problem. Deal with that burden of guilt and shame that has to do with the things that you have done. And then add on some life coaching and some therapy to deal with the things that others have done that are not your fault. Sort it all out. Get your spiritual situation sorted out, then get everything else that happened to you sorted out. Confront what you need to confront and deal with, and then live your life. Build what you need to build, do what you need to do, and live your life. And then you will not have to be devastated and looking absolutely foolish when your favorite person, performer, either in the big screen, on the radio, on the internet, acts a fool. Okay, they're acting a fool. They're taking an L. And that's very sad. But it doesn't have to have you out here taking L's and acting a fool. It's just not, that's not necessary. And I want you, as we begin to look toward 2023 and finish out 2022, I want you to be free of that. I want you to be free of that. This is a day where people are going to dress up as the spirits of the past, ghosts, and as skeletons out of the closet. You do not need to have any part in that. Stop living vicariously and start living. Then you don't have to pick up anybody else's L's. Y'all have a good day now. Be safe out there. Be safe out there. Halloween is an interesting day. I am not going to teach that lesson again. Y'all can Google the background. It's an interesting day. Be careful out there. All right. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.